everyone, I'm Janelle Maloney, Martha Nash's great granddaughter, and I'm here with MaryAnn Elias-Johnson, who is the niece of Lynette Claus. And Lynette Claus is a key character in the book Poems from the Asylum because Lynette actually helped my family, helped the Nasches through life while Martha was in the insane asylum. When she came home, though, Lynette was one of the few people who signed a sworn statement that no matter how many times she went in or out of the house being a helper, she never saw Martha eat or drink, not once. And I do know that Louis, or she calls him Louis, said he tried to hide and jump out and see her and find her and catch her. So perhaps Lynette would have helped Louis with that process of if I'm not home, will you be watching? Who knows? But I wanted to ask, what do you think? If she said she never saw Martha eat or drink, do you believe Lynette? I mean, she's your aunt. You knew her. Is she kind of a funny gal, a liar, teaser, joker, or?
Yeah, not a liar at all. And she was always the neat and tidy aunt. You know, my mother had 5 children, so we were a big, messy family. And we liked to go to Auntie Lynette's house because she just was so orderly and everything, and always had everything nice and how we would have liked it at our house. But knowing Lynette too, she had very good morals, and she was a churchgoer, and just really wouldn't have lied about something like that. And I think it really affected her because she liked the Nasch family. My mother, Genevieve, did too, and so they played with Ralph when he was little and watched him. Lynette was older.
We've got pictures of them, all the little kids playing together.
Yes, and so I would believe Lynette, and she would have said something like, that isn't true, because she was also the monitor over my mother, and my mother was kind of a hellion, and so Lynette was always there trying to get order in the house, you know, and saying things truthfully. So yes, I believe Lynette.
Wow. So maybe she would have been in that motherly fashion concerned, and in the concern trying to watch and check. And maybe I can imagine Lynette leaving out some crackers or something. Martha, if you get hungry, please would you eat some? Just like if she was preparing the snacks for her little siblings even, I can imagine that from her of, I'm worried. Would you please eat something? And then all day long those crackers never got nibbled on. I don't know.
Yeah, and there would have been that closeness too, because they were very close neighbors, and the kids played together, and I'm sure she had many encounters with Martha, so that would be a good person to ask, you know, about her eating. Yeah.
Speaking of being really close, the Claus family, who are next door neighbors, also had their own secrets to be kept. So that could also come into play of maybe you keep my secrets, I keep your secrets. Maybe. So what were some of those secrets that maybe the Nasches helped keep?
Yeah, I think a lot of it would have been about my grandmother, who was sickly, and
That's Edna.
Yeah, Edna, and the relationship with her husband, my grandfather Joe Claus. You know, people did keep family secrets back then, but each of the kids was acting out. My mother ended up going to Sauk Center for 5 years.
Right.
And Leo, he ended up going to prison, and Joe, the oldest boy, he was the good boy, you know, and Lynette was considered the good child. So I have a lot of, you know, records from the courts and that from back then that show the family dynamics, what was going on, and I think there was a lot of dysfunction and the kids were acting out.
And Joe Claus spent some time at the insane asylum. also, we didn't see that they were there at the same time, but it is just so interesting, the neighbors knowing each other's business and to the point of signing sworn statements about each other and maybe even keeping those secrets until death.
Yeah. And back then, too, there was that anti-German sentiment.
Yeah.
But with World War I, and they were not allowed to speak German and things. I think my grandpa had a lot of anger with that, and just, you know, in the German community, they stuck close because of the way people were feeling about them, and they were feeling picked on and that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
a lot of history there. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We
Yes.
are so glad that you answered those questions, because people do ask, like, are you sure? Are you sure? And still to this day, the answer is yeah. That's the truth. And that's what people have stood by forever. Forever. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. See you
Yes.
next time.